Well, the Trump administration is taking aim at a major Canadian export. The U.S. Commerce Department is hiking anti-dumping duties on Canadian softwood lumber to 20.56%. British Columbia lumber organizations are condemning the sharp increase, calling it unjustified, punitive, and protectionist. They say it will harm workers, families, and communities across the province and Canada. Prime Minister Mark Carney said earlier this month that a future trade agreement with the U.S. could include quotas on softwood lumber. It's an area that has caused friction between two countries for years before the latest Trump trade war. For more on this, Andy Rielly joins me now. He's the president of Rielly Lumber and the board chair of the Independent Wood Processors of BC. He's in Vancouver with us. Andy, really appreciate you giving us your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Listening to this now, raising the anti-dumping duties on softwood lumber over 20%, what's going through your mind right now?
Well, there's a number of things. Firstly, we all knew this was coming going back to January of 2025. This softwood dispute has been an ongoing thing since 2017 for the lumber community, and I know most of our country is very concerned about tariffs and the trade situation going on with the United States right now. This trade dispute has been front and center for lumber companies since 2017, since the expiry of the former softwood lumber agreement, and it's as you know. Duties are different than tariffs. A duty is a calculated number that comes from the Commerce Department in the United States, looking at what we export compared to what they think our costs are. So that's why these rates change, and that's why this rate has gone up so dramatically, which is going to be very punishing to all Canadian companies, but particularly value-added companies which manufacture finished wood products here in Canada. So what's going through our mind right now is that we're not quite sure what's going to be happening in the future. We certainly are holding off on investing in our mill. Our employees are probably concerned. We're going to have to be creative and do the best we can to keep everybody working. But the fact is that all of the softwood lumber exports from Canada are now going to be affected by this increase. So the tide's going up, and that's only going to increase the cost of the price of softwood lumber and all the other things that the Americans use in their market. So that's basically what we have to face. It's a difficult period.
It's creating, as you point out, a domino effect here. And you pointed out you're going to have to try and figure out how to pivot. Can you give me a sense of what that will look like to manage the blow of this? We don't have a deal with the United States yet. I'll ask you about that in a second there. But can you give me a sense of what that pivot might look like in order, as you say, to keep people working?
Well, that's a great question because we've faced this kind of thing before. So for a company like ours, we're going to have to probably look at selling more into Canada. We're going to have to look at doing more custom work with our mill that's out in the Fraser Valley. We're probably going to have to just be honest with our customers. And believe me, our U.S. customers are, quite frankly, they're our friends. We've dealt with them for 30 years, and they don't like this any more than we do. They understand that, our product price is going to go up because we can't afford to ingest another 20% increase in the duty rate. Like that just doesn't happen. Our company, Angie, we produce Western Red Cedar, so our average sell price is over $4,200 a thousand, so per thousand board feet. When framing lumber right now is roughly between $675 and $700. So for value-added companies that manufacture in Canada, whether you're in British Columbia, Ontario, or Quebec, it hits us extra hard because they put this duty on our sell price, which is it's all of our manufacturing, our trim loss, our kiln drying, our freight, and when our product gets to the border, they put that duty on top of our sell price. So it's especially punishing to a value-added producer that's in Canada. So I don't know what we're going to have to do. We've all known that this has been coming for some time. We're hoping that there would be some kind of relief, but but we're going to have to get creative, and we'll figure something out and hope that we can get some kind of a negotiated settlement with the Americans.
Now, I know you oversee 60 lumber producing companies. You've talked about sort of having that sort of relationship within companies within the country. Interprovincial trade, talk to me about how that works into all of this, and is that part of that solution now as we're seeing those barriers coming down?
That doesn't really affect the products that we do too much in terms of value-added products going between British Columbia, Alberta, Ontario, Quebec. So that doesn't really affect us. I will say that we had a very productive meeting with Minister LeBlanc and Minister Tim Hodgson last week in Ottawa with our Pan-Canadian value-added group. And they were very supportive of the idea of trying to get together with the Americans and talk about getting a negotiated settlement, because this is getting difficult. And as I said, Angie, this has been going on since 2017. And I think what a lot of Canadians need to understand is that as these duty rates go up to 34.5%, if they ever liquidated those entries, that goes back to 2023. That means that they would say all those things, all those trucks, those rail cars, everything that went into the U.S. market since 2023. The catch there is that in 2023, we paid 8.5%. So they would come to our company, like most small and medium-sized companies across Canada, and say, retroactively, we looked at what you guys did in 2023. Here's a bill for $5 million. And as a bondholder, that is a personal guarantee with U.S. Customs, people like me, we're faced with the reality that that could happen. So we've been very open with Canadian government, the federal government. I believe now I've got quite a bit of faith in Minister LeBlanc. He was very open with us, and there's no easy solution to this, but he seems like somebody that wants to work with us and somebody that sees the urgency in this situation. And so I'm somewhat hopeful that we might be able to get some talking going between the two countries.
Well, we know that those meetings in Washington, of course, will continue. We'll be following things very closely as we get to that August 1st deadline. Andy, really appreciate you giving us your time today. We'll be following it closely. Andy Rielly is the president of Rielly Lumber and board chair of the Independent Wood Processors of BC. Andy, thank you again for this.
Thanks so much. Take care.
You too.